which brings us nicely into the idea of prerequisites for jiu-jitsu.
Right. Because you cannot move where you cannot move.
Cannot move where you cannot move.
I don't know why that concept is so difficult for many people to get. They just want to do patternized training. This is why something like kin stretch is the ultimate training for something like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The ability to develop those prerequisites. Like, I meet so many people who are doing Jiu-Jitsu, and let's say they're doing a triangle choke is a really common one. They can't do a triangle choke. So they make these excuses of my legs are too short. They can't wrap around the head and the arm, yada, yada, yada. But really, if you take them out of that, the reason oftentimes why they've never been able to do something like a triangle choke is because they don't have the prerequisites to do it. So something like a triangle choke requires a decent amount of hip external rotation out of one of the hips. Now, if someone doesn't have the amount of external rotation to do what is requested from the triangle choke, they will, in fact, never be able to do the triangle choke. Then what you hear is you hear the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach just yell louder, and they say, do more reps, do more reps, do more reps. But they're just practicing something that they'll never be able to accomplish. So rather, you should pull the athlete out and see, well, hell, do they actually have the prerequisite to do the move I'm coaching them? If I see that, if I'm watching someone struggle with a triangle choke, I pull them off, I look at the hip. If they don't have a hip to do it, we're not drilling triangle choke today. They can drill an arm bar today. Then we're going to use FRC and kin stretch to make a hip. We eventually get them hip external rotation. Now they have access to a hip. Now they can actually practice the movement of which now they'll be able to get. So if you don't have the prerequisites, your game is less diverse. You have less weapons on your hip of which you can select to fight with. So as we know with movement variability, the more access to motion, the more options you have to learn movement.
Well, you see, and then you get the reverse interpretation or the incorrect interpretations that you hear. You hear people say things like, you know, everyone has their move, right? And it's as if people say everyone has their move as if the move is somehow in your DNA and it's just ready to come out. Like I'm a Kimura guy. Like, why the fuck?
I am a Kimura guy.
Yeah, I know, but to say that someone's a Kimura guy is to say that somewhere along the line, the Kimura felt right? Or it was something that your butt, and then someone will say, well, it matches your physique. Like you're a guillotine guy, it just matches you. But maybe it doesn't match you. Maybe it matches your particular movement profile. Or we can call it a movement menu. And you can't move where you can't move, just like you can't order off the menu. So, you know what I'm saying? So like maybe a triangle is not your thing, not because your brain isn't plastic enough to learn a triangle. It's just that the small amount of afference coming from the tissues that would be in control of that triangle, I mean, you haven't sent those signals in so long that it's just not on the menu, so that you start to order what you like to order. And I like to order arm triangles instead. And then you start to do them, and then you start to do them on one side, right? You get good on the one side. It's proof of what I just said. If you're only doing arm triangles from your right side, then it's just showing you that you will ease your way into your menu all on your own. And what we've been saying before is if you want a more diverse palette, you got to increase movement options, right? And again, you're right. I don't know how else to say this so people can understand, but your body is learning what it's learning based on the information that the meat is sending to your central nervous system. Like the meat, like I go pick up the cup, the meat tells my nervous system how it's going, what's going on. Was it good? Did you do it properly? Was there an error, or was it executed well? And that's how you learn. And there's no other way to learn. So when you say you can't move where you can't move, when someone comes to me and says, I want to learn fucking striking, and then I say, okay, well, lift your leg, and they can only lift it 30 degrees. I don't say, well, okay, you're only going to kick people's fucking shins. I say, we need to fix that. And for some reason, striking people understand that, right? It's not like you're going to go to a kickboxing place and they're like, I don't want to do any head kicks because I'm not born with the flexibility needed to throw head kicks. It's so crazy when people think about it in that regard. Just like in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I'm never going to get a rubber guard. not to say that you want one, but don't tell me you're never going to get it because your genetics don't allow you, because then nobody would do anything.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that was great how you said it. You need a bigger menu of which to select from, because you're going to end up in some strange positions. So again, the more degrees of freedom of motion that you have, the more options that you have. And then we say all of this, and then someone on the internet interprets that as we are trying to make everybody a contortionist.
Yeah.
Like you say all that, and then it's like, that's what someone got from that. It's no.
Yeah, people get the weirdest things. Like, as if we want, like, we're the opposite of contortionists. We're telling you that whatever you get, you better own. Because once again, if you want it on the menu, as we were saying, unless your nervous system's on board with it, it's not on the menu either. And that brings us to another point. You can be as fucking bendy as you want. If you're a BJJ player out there or anybody else, you can be as bendy as you want. If you think that, the bendiness is somehow helping you, the science tells you you're wrong. It's not the bendiness that helps you. It's the ability to execute or to absorb load, right?
Yeah, if you can't use your bendiness, if the bendiness is not usable, it's useless.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't move where you can't move. And then if you move into where you can't move, or if you brought into an area where you can't move, you sure as hell can't defend being in an area where you can't move.
Right.
Because the definition of defense is the absorption, dissipation, or execution of force. That is your defense.
Right.
There's no you see, when your defenses are down, that's when you tap. Does everyone understand that? Like, it's another way to say it, and I hope that makes people make sense. Like, if you were relying on your bendiness, then there would be no tap, because the whole idea is the tap comes when you've exhausted your active ability to not let that guy or girl do that to you.
Right.
Right?
Right. Yep. Make a menu.